All right, out here at the U.S. Open at LA Country Club. I'm here today with Mike Walker, and Mike's a coach of many of the best players out here. And today we're just going to focus on one of them that he's been with for a long time, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and kind of his development from back when he was just a kid playing over in Europe, and then up through college, up to culminating in winning his first major last year at Brookline. So can you just talk to us a little bit about, when you're thinking about a player and his development, what all goes into that? When you get someone and you're trying to help them develop a plan to get better.
So, I mean, with Matt in particular, I would say he's a very good example of somebody who has an all-encompassing structure around him which ticks every box, and that's evaluated consistently, and then plans made, a very proactive approach to continued improvement, really. So there's many arms to the kind of structure that he's in. There's a psychological component, there's a strength and conditioning physio component, there's a technical component, there's put in the stats, it's biomechanics, and it's all very professionally collated. The data that gets fed into the system is all professionally collated and evaluated, and then plans are made on the back of that, both on a short-term viewpoint and medium and long-term viewpoint, and then regular appraisals along the way. And from my side of things, probably approaching 15 years in my job, and even in that relatively short space of time, I would say the industry has changed quite a lot in that time period. I mean, when I first started, I think my job would have been, with most players, would have been purely a technical consultant, and that is still my principal role. But I feel like the modern day coach has to have a good working knowledge, of psychology, of biomechanics, of anatomy, statistics. Mm-hmm. And that, don't get me wrong, I don't think you're that to every player you work with, but I think Matt is a bit of a benchmark for some people of a very professional, pro's pro, so to speak, who doesn't leave any stone unturned, and is constantly trying to search for marginal gains to get better, and wouldn't be just governed by hitting a bunch of balls and just be totally golf swing all the time.
And when would you say he kind of really bought into that? I mean, guys that are out here, myself, other coaches, know that he's very meticulous and kind of has gone about it, but he wasn't a phenom he was a great young player, but he wasn't a phenom in the sense of competing with the world's best until the last few years. So when do you feel like he really bought into that, and it really kind of excelled him from being like you said, a good tour player to a pro's pro that can compete at any event around the world now?
Probably about 4 years ago, I'd say you started seeing the start of it, to 2019. I mean, I would say a lot of it was due to his physical maturity and the speed that he gained. He was always like an exceptional putter. Mm-hmm. Always had an innate he was great under pressure. That I would never claim the credit for that. It was something that was innate in him. Right. And I've never ever got the sense that he might put the handbrake on at the end, or he would always go for the jugular. He had a ruthless element to him in a competitive environment. I think what propelled him into a scenario where you feel like he could be competitive anywhere would be the distance that he gained, coupled with ticking every box and finding, it's a fairly like high performance kind of mentality where it's all encompassing, and bit of a marginal gains approach, where can we get pick some low lying fruit. And but I would say to answer your question directly, it would be the speed that he gained kind of in the last few years, really.
Right. In terms of, like you say, ticking all those boxes and overturning those different stones, I think so many kids, high school, college, think it's all about technique. And while you need to be able to swing a club efficiently and you have to be in good position, and that's always going to be required, what do you think is overlooked in terms of being able to actually do that, or support that, or come alongside that? You know, if you're amongst those other boxes, what would you say y'all focus on percentage-wise the most, maybe?
Well, I think, and I'm with you in that sense. I still think that's extremely important. I mean, it's the main purpose of my job, but I think there's so much more information available worldwide. You know, in every kind of industry that is involved in Matt's game. So I think that information has become more accessible to. I think the strength and conditioning golf industry has got infinitely better. I would say the statistics and information available for us in terms of quantifying play and strengths and weaknesses got immeasurably better, and so it's given you more of an insight into where you can improve, instead of just kind of traditional ways of practice for golf, which would be more a bag of balls on the range, and just if it feels right, then go out on the course, you know. So I mean, that's what I grew up with,
right?
And I'm old, but I'm not that old. So 45 coming up. So I would say it's changing, and for the better. There's obviously always a danger that you can get paralysed by it all, and I think with Matt, he sometimes gets too involved with that, and it wouldn't be for everybody. But I think there's a lot of guys that could benefit from it that don't use it.
Right. If we just go back literally to kind of a year ago from now, kind of culminating in his win in the U.S. Open, and obviously you being a huge part of that and y'all's team, what did you sense in that week, or as it was kind of playing out? I don't really remember the month before or leading up to it, or could y'all kind of see that building, or, you know, where did that, how do you remember that?
I could see it building, because he was, I mean, just relentless. He was just churning out I can't remember how many he had in the season in the end, but it was definitely double digits, and so his game was extremely solid. So it kind of lends itself quite well to a US Open style, you know, where you're not necessarily going to light it up and go, but you're trying to not make compound errors and make double bogeys. Like, bogeys are all right every now and again. So I would say the nature of the US Open definitely lends itself to his game, and pretty much all of his team predicted that if he was going to win one, it would probably be the favourite. And then there was the kind of the sideline story of like where he won the US Amateur, and he was staying with the same host family. So if you spiritual anyway, you might have thought it was like it written in the stars, but so there was a bit of that to it as well. And I think he proved that then. When he's in position, even on the biggest stage, I certainly don't feel as his coach, and I've felt this with other people I've worked with, where I don't feel like he's gonna lose it. Mm-hmm. He might not win it, and if there's a difference, obviously, and I've never felt that with him.
Right. And just coming down the stretch as a coach, I mean, we're invested in our players, right? What are you thinking, watching the tee shot and then the bunker shot on the 72nd hole?
I mean, it's just, you try not to get caught up in it, but it's impossible. The euphoria of that is amazing, and if I'm honest, the dejection when it doesn't go your way is it hurts, because you care. So it's great that you care, but it has its high points, and that was an absolute massive high, and And then just the month before, it was total dejection really after the USPGA. It was like somebody put a pin in a Mike Walker balloon after he finished that round. So it was, yeah. But I guess that's why we all come back and love it.
Yeah, yeah. Alrighty, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.